What's up, guys? Nuance Bro checking in, and today I'm going to be giving you an update on the 48-hour deadline that Nancy Pelosi gave to the Republicans. I covered this in a video yesterday, even though the announcement for the 48-hour deadline was 48 hours ago. So today is the deadline, and here's an update on what happened. So earlier today, Nancy Pelosi had a conversation with a reporter on Bloomberg TV. Let's take a look at what she said.
I understand you have a call scheduled with Secretary Mnuchin at 3 o'clock today, Eastern Time. What are the prospects? What do you need to hear on that call to move forward?
Well, first, let me welcome you to the Speaker's office. I have behind me a great founder of the Republican Party, Abraham Lincoln, who said public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. And I think the public sentiment is there for us to crush the virus. And that is our main goal in this legislation, so that we can open up our schools, open up our economy safely. There's no reason why our schools shouldn't be the safest place for our children to be, and that our workplace should be someplace where workers can feel safe to come without fear of catching something that they bring home. So I'm optimistic because I do think we have a shared value. Not many, but a shared value that finally is they want to crush the virus. And that's been a change from even over the weekend when they put forth language that wasn't respectful of what we needed to do from the standpoint of science to crush the virus. We had to do to recognize the disproportionate spread of this virus in communities of color, where a child who is African American will be 5 times more likely to go to the hospital with COVID than a white child, or a child who's Hispanic 8 times more likely. So now they've come back and returned that language that addresses the disparity issues, that is more scientific about testing, tracing, treatment, wearing your mask, separation, sanitation, and the rest, because we can stop the spread as we hopefully wait the soon vaccine. We want it as soon as it is safe and efficacious. Not one day later, but no one day sooner either.
So you can see going into the call with Steve Mnuchin, she was optimistic. She said they had shared values, not a lot, but they had shared values. They were coming closer together on the deals. And then they had the call. And then we found out what happened on the call, or at least what didn't happen, which was we didn't get a stimulus deal. And then Mark Meadows, which is one of Trump's advisors, sort of negotiators, although it's mostly Steve Mnuchin these days. Mark Meadows came out and he kind of gave a little synopsis of what was going on. And this is what he had to say.
But we're going to get you the answer here, hopefully. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows joins us now. It's good to have you. Where do the negotiations stand?
With you. Well, I just got off the phone with Secretary Mnuchin. As you know, he had about a 45-minute phone call with Speaker Pelosi, and as they were working together, we've made good progress, and even further progress today. We're still have a number of open items that still remain as of today. What we've decided to do is actually work with some of the committees on both the Senate, House committees, the corresponding committees, whether it be on tax or appropriations or health and human services. And so as we get those committees together, they're going to look at some of the language. But I want to stress, we're not just down to a difference of language and a few dollars. We still have a ways to go. But I would say that the conversations today were productive enough to continue to have discussions tomorrow, which the Speaker and the Secretary plan to do exactly that tomorrow afternoon.
Where are we on the total size of the package at this point, which has also been a big sticking point and moving target?
It has been a big sticking point. As you know, the Secretary and I have actually increased the offer from the $1 trillion mark that we started with. It went to 1.3, then 1.5. It currently sits at about 1.88. Speaker Pelosi continues to stay at her $2.2 trillion mark, or 2.4, depending on what she puts in the package. So there's still several $100 billion apart between the two parties. State and local spending is still an issue that remains largely unchanged and still with a long ways to go. But that being said, what we're trying to do is take some of the policy differences that would be poison pills for Senate Republicans, work with our Senate colleagues, working with Leader McConnell and his team and his corresponding chairman of committees, to try to at least get the language in a place that even if we can work on the numbers. I spoke to the president a couple of times on this today. He's been very, very bullish on trying to make sure that if it's just a dollar amount that we're disagreeing on, that we perhaps increase the amount of money that we have for support for small businesses and PPP, that we provide some additional tax incentives for onshoring for manufacturing coming from abroad to the United States, or that we increase those direct payments to both adults and children that have really suffered under this pandemic slowdown. And so right now it's twofold. So it's not just the money, but we're still several $100 billion apart in terms of reaching a deal. So I would think that those discussions hopefully will make progress again tomorrow and perhaps the following day. And everybody is working real hard to try to make sure that we can get some kind of an agreement before the weekend, at least so that we can help set the agenda for the following couple of weeks legislatively for both Senate and House.
So as you can see, no stimulus deal happened. You can see Mark Meadows talking about how state and local funding is still one of the issues that they're quibbling over, and that the conversations were productive enough that they're willing to continue conversations tomorrow and perhaps even the day after that. Things are getting a lot closer these days. Pelosi gave that 48-hour deadline for this to pass before the election. But again, they say maybe they can still get something done before the election. But again, time is passing. There's a process this has to go through the House where you have to write up a bill. That takes time. Then it has to go through a certain amount of days so everyone can review the language in the bill. That takes time. And then it has to be transferred over to the Senate, and they have their own procedures. That takes time. And then, of course, it gets signed by the president. And Nancy Pelosi knows that by the time this all gets through, even if it is before the election, there's no checks that are going to physically go out to the American people with Donald Trump's name on it. So as a political play, this works well in her favor. I don't see why she wouldn't pass this if the checks won't go out in Trump's name. Also, there's a concern by some concern or, potential benefit for the Democrats, depending on the way you want to look at it. There's a concern that the Senate Republicans might not want to pass this, or that they won't have the votes, or that Mitch McConnell will obstruct this. There's a story that just recently came out from the New York Times saying that Mitch McConnell has advised the White House not to take any sort of stimulus deal from Nancy Pelosi before the election, which I think is a terrible move. Hopefully this is just some weird negotiating tactic. The American people are suffering. They need payments now. The markets, businesses, everyone's suffering. Without a payment like this, according to various different analyses and different institutions that have looked at this, including the Federal Reserve, they have said if a stimulus bill is not passed, the economic ramifications can be quite dire. But if we do get something that passes, of course, that would be good for the American people. People will be able to stay in their homes, not get evicted. People will be able to pay their mortgages, their bills, etc. Businesses will be able to take loans, PPP loans, and still stay open, even with all the businesses that have already permanently closed in this country. So it seems like it would be something the Democrats and the Republicans would want to do for the good of the country. And of course, if you're invested in stocks, it would benefit you as well, which, by the way, if you're not invested in stocks and you want to get invested in stocks, I have a link below to Webull. Use my Webull link, deposit $100, and you can get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,600, worth at least $8. Your chance varies on getting those, but definitely sign up on Webull. Do it now. Deposit $100. It's a win-win. It's the smart thing to do. Don't be a dummy. Make some money. And if you'd like to support the channel, nuancebro.com/join. If you'd like to support us, the support is always appreciated. And I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Social media links are in the description box below, as well as merch. And I'll see you next time, bro.